Hello YouTube, how's it going? This is the crossover and I'm back with another video. Today's another installment in my 2022 draft profiles. And in today's video, we're going to be discussing Jaden Hardy, who is a projected top 3 pick in next year's draft and who will be playing with the G League Ignite this upcoming season. And without any further delay, let's get straight into the video. Moving on to some stats and measurements for Jaden Hardy. He's listed at about 6 feet 4 inches and weighs about 190 pounds, which is very good given that he is a shooting guard and he has a wingspan of 6 feet 8 inches as of now, which is very good, again, considering his positional size, and his wingspan is something we will talk about later. And then moving on to his high school stats, he did not play his senior year. He did opt out due to COVID concerns. However, his junior year, he did average 30.4 points per game, 9.1 rebounds, and 8.4 assists per game. And during his EYBL or his AAU career, again, his junior year was shrouded with COVID, and as well as his senior year. However, we do have his definite sophomore stats, which he did play with the Las Vegas Elite squad, where he did average 14.5 points per game, 3.1 rebounds per game, 1.8 assists per game, and 2.1 steals per game. However, you do have to keep in mind that he was playing behind, some high-level D1 talent and even some NBA talent in a player such as Josh Christopher. So these stats are definitely impressive considering that, that was his sophomore year and he was playing behind such elite talent. And then his high school stats do speak. Moving on to Jaden Hardy's strengths as a prospect, first up we have his great size / wingspan, as well as his athleticism at the shooting guard position. With him being 6'4", with that 6'8" wingspan, that gives him a huge edge over his competition, including at the NBA level, where most shooting guards tend to be right around 6'4" to maybe even 6'6". He does seem to be on the lower end of that scale, only standing at 6'4", but he definitely makes up with that. With his wingspan, with that 6'8" wingspan, that allows him to have a much higher shot release on his shot, which we will talk about in just a few, and as well as when he does attack the paint, it allows him to draw contact and hang in the air a little bit due to that longer wingspan, similar to a player like Bradley Beal, which is a big comp that I do have for him. But again, his athleticism at the shooting guard position is another big appeal for Jaden Hardy as a prospect. Again, he's a similar player in the mold of an Anthony Edwards or Jalen Green, right? That ultra athletic scoring guard. And while he's definitely the least athletic out of the three, he's definitely a graceful athlete. And while he's definitely an explosive one, he can definitely get up there, right, hang in the air for a bit. It's not nearly at the level of an Anthony Edwards or a Jalen Green. However, his athleticism is impressive, just pales in comparison to those two. But I think he is very graceful. He does have a very quick first step. And his athleticism, while it is a plus, it's not the main thing, right? That's not what's carrying Jaden Hardy as a prospect to being a projected top 3 pick, right? That is, as we move on to his 3-point shot creation, right? There are a few prospects that I've ever seen that can shoot the ball like Jaden Hardy, right? And some will say it's also a weakness, which a certain aspect of that shot creation, which we will get into a bit. But just Jaden Hardy's ability to pull up from anywhere on the floor and just make it look so easy. I mean, he has a silky smooth handle, which I did list as well, which does help with his shot creation. He does manage to create a lot of space on all of his shots. His form is very, very smooth. And his release is great. He gets up in the air fine, and as I said, he can pull up from anywhere on the court. It's freaky. It's almost to the level of a player such as Trae Young, a Damian Lillard or Steph Curry, where they're a threat to pull up from anywhere on the court as soon as they cross that half court line. Except those guys are 6 feet. Trae Young's maybe 5'11" at best. Steph Curry's 6 feet. Dame Lillard 6'2". Jaden Hardy's 6'4" with a 6'8" wingspan, right? So that the intrigue of him as a prospect and an offensive weapon. At not only the G League level, but as well as the NBA level, right? He has the potential to be a franchise cornerstone, right? And if all goes well for him in his NBA career, I could definitely see him turn out to be, a number one option, number one scoring option on championship teams, similar to, the kind of role that a Devin Booker fills. And again, I'm not saying that he will be that or even that he will reach that. It's just that's the mold of a player that you have here when you do have his athletic traits combined with his 3-point shot creation. So overall, his shot creation, it's insane with his handles and his ability to pull up from anywhere on the floor with the form that he has. It's going to be a thing of beauty to watch in the G League, and I can't wait to watch him, shoot from anywhere at the NBA level. And he's also, besides the shot creation, he does use that to his advantage, as he does draw a lot of defense. Similar to, again, a player like Steph Curry, the way how defenders are so worried about Steph Curry's shot that, Steph Curry's shot really allows him to get anywhere on the floor that he wants due to that threat. Jaden Hardy is similar in that aspect at the high school level, where he did leverage his shot to be able to fake defenders out at any time and get to the rim whenever he wanted. And again, he's not at the level of athlete that an Anthony Edwards or Jalen Green is, but he's definitely up there amongst the best shooting guard athletes amongst the draft prospects, of the past decade. And he does a very good job of hanging in the air. And again, with that wingspan, he's able to flow in the air, kind of wait for the defender to come back down, and he can finish through contact very well. And he's also a very good perimeter defender, in my opinion. Again, with his physical traits similar to what I talked about, with Paolo Banchero in the previous video, right? His physical traits are just overwhelming at the high school level, right? And while Jaden Hardy is obviously not, 6'10", 250 pounds. He is 6'4", with that wingspan. He did cause a lot of trouble for high school guards, and, he did read the passing lanes very good, which caused him to get some highlight dunks, which I could definitely see translating not only to the G League, but to the NBA level, similar to how, a LaMelo Ball thrived off of, picking off passing lanes, in his rookie year. So I could definitely see Jaden Hardy having a similar avenue to success in that aspect at the NBA level, and as well as just being a great perimeter defender. And while, there are some things he definitely needs to work on the defensive end, which we will talk about in a few, you have to bet on his physical traits transferring over, and with that athleticism, and again with the physical traits, I would definitely bank on Jaden Hardy being a solid defender at the NBA level. Moving on to the concerns of Jaden Hardy as a prospect, first up, I have his shot creation needs to be better. Right, there was a lot of times at the high school level where he would just take bad shots that you would just be like, ooh, like that was not a good shot. Right, there were a lot of times he would just look off, open teammates, which does lead me into my second point, where his playmaking needs to improve. And I think my biggest concern with Jaden Hardy is that my biggest fear with him is that he does turn out to become, a 17, 18, 19 point per game scorer with, mediocre to like decent efficiency, where he'll light it up one game and then he'll be super inefficient another game. And I think his talent demands more from him, right? And given how good of a shot creator he already is, given his center of gravity, right, similar to, again, how I said earlier, like a Steph Curry, where as soon as he crosses half court, he's a threat to pull up from anywhere, right? And he needs to take advantage, and I think the G League needs to empower that and drill it into him, right? Where he needs to take advantage of that gravity and then use that gravity to not only get easier shots for himself, right? Get to the basket, right? It doesn't always need to be a step back mid-range shot, a step back 3-point shot from the volleyball line, right? Which he essentially was always doing in high school, right? Every shot doesn't need to be that, right? Take advantage of your shot, get simpler shots, right? Bait the defender into fouling you. Get to the rim, right? He's got that 6'8" wingspan. He can hang in the air. He should be able to finish around the basket very well, right? And most importantly, find your teammates, right? And I think the biggest flaw with, even a player like a Devin Booker, right, that scoring mold is that they need that facilitator next to them, right? Devin Booker needs a player such as Chris Paul to be that facilitator, that floor general, that point guard, while Devin Booker focuses on, getting his, right? And that was a big detriment to that Phoenix team, as we saw in the playoffs, as, Milwaukee decided to put, Drew Holiday on Chris Paul, given that Chris Paul was already hurt. They decided to shut him down, and when Chris Paul wasn't getting his, nobody else was, right? Mikal Bridges wasn't getting open shots. Jay Crowder wasn't getting open shots, right? Cam Johnson wasn't getting open shots. Devin Booker was getting his, right? But nobody else was getting theirs. And I think Jaden Hardy, for him to become, that number one option on a championship team that I believe he can be, his playmaking needs to be empowered, right? And I've never seen a prospect with that center of gravity, right? That presence as soon as he crosses half court, the way that Jaden Hardy has, similar to a Trae Young, but I think it's even better than Trae Young at this point, in their career. So I really think that the G League needs to take advantage of that, and I think they really need to nurture his playmaking, capabilities, which he does have, right? He's shown flashes of it, but he's just really worried and wired to get his right now. And, again, I think, not only at the G League, but wherever he does end up getting drafted, they need to empower his playmaking. And, if he could become a very good playmaker and, become a true offensive engine combined with his scoring potential, I mean, we're looking at a clear number one option on the championship team. And then obviously, needs to add more weight on his frame, right? He's 6'4", 190 pounds, right? Of course, he's going to add weight as time goes on. But, I think he if he does add 10 pounds coming into his rookie year, if he's about 210, 200, 215, 210 pounds, 205 pounds even, again, given that wingspan, I think he's going to feast around the basket again, taking, as I previously stated, taking advantage of that 3-point shot threat as soon as he crosses half court. And then finally, just defensive consistency, which isn't really a big concern, but I feel like again, similar to how a lot of people said Paolo Banchero's motor was a concern, I feel like I had to put Hardy's defensive consistency, just because they didn't show it at the high school level. But again, similar to Paolo, it's not a big concern. It's just when you're that much better than your competition, right? It's just hard to take it seriously. So again, all these concerns I think will iron themselves out, except the playmaking. I think that playmaking will be his swing skill in the NBA. I think there's no doubt about his offensive repertoire translating to not only the G League but the NBA level as well. But that playmaking is going to be what really separates him in terms of being just a Terry Rozier, a Devin Booker, or even, like, dare I say, a Luka Doncic caliber player, which I definitely think he has. That maybe he's not nearly as polished of a prospect as Luka is, or even has that playmaking capabilities as Luka, but maybe a tier down from Luka, but in a similar mold where he can become a true offensive engine at the NBA level. And that's the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. My next video is going to be about Serbia's Nikola Jovic, not Nikola Jokic, Nikola Jovic, who is a projected top 10 pick. Most people have him in the lottery, but for me personally, I have him listed as one of my top 5 prospects in this upcoming draft. So my next video will be about him, so stay on the lookout for that. But besides that, that's the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please take care and have a blessed day.